Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Bootcamp Blueprint, the place where personal trainers go to grow their bootcamp and social media. I'm super excited because we have a very special guest this week, all the way from the other side of the world. Now, a little bit about this person. She's an online fitness coach, a self-love, confidence, and mindset mentor. She's the author of the #1 best-selling book, Believe Your Way to Badass. She's a passionate results-driven speaker. She's the host of a podcast herself, Confessions of a Bikini Bro. She's a NASM certified personal trainer. She's got degrees in clinical nutrition and dietetics and is currently studying psychology. She specializes in helping bikini competitors make peace with food and their bodies and their goals in their improvement season so they don't experience those post-show blues. And she helps trainers with mindset, giving themselves permission to do what they want without feeling the pressure to meet the expectation that everyone else is doing. And she's only 22 years old. So without further ado, let me introduce the one and only Ms. Celeste Rains Turk. Celeste, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much. I feel like after that intro, I don't know, I better deliver.
I'm out of breath just about explaining all that. But hey, before we go into a dive there, Celeste, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
There's so many, and I can never think of just one, but I'm going to say the first one that came to mind was that every pro was once an amateur.
Love that. Every pro was once an amateur. And let's expand for the listeners. What does that mean to you, Celeste?
To me, it's a great reminder that in anything in life, like no matter what it is that you're pursuing, everybody has to start somewhere. So you see the people who are where you want to be or achieving certain things or actual professionals at something. Doesn't mean that they just were born into that position. Like they somehow had to climb a ladder to get there. And for some people it went really fast, some people not. Doesn't matter. Either way, they had a place to start, and we're all on our own journey and path. Like I feel like we're always an amateur at something, but we can always get better.
Love that. And I love that quote myself because you can use it with anyone, right? Look at a LeBron James, right? Even he was not the best basketball player of the world starting off. You know, he had to start somewhere, worked his way up. So I
Great
love
example.
That. Now, you've got such a repertoire of achievements there, Celeste. I think there's a few different ways we can do it. What I would like to do ideally is just you share your story, right? You share how you started off to where you are now and how you did it only being 22 years old. And we have a bit of a focus on mindset because that's what I'd like my listeners to take out of this is like, okay, cool. She did it with that mindset there. And no matter what I'm doing, that's how I can get my mindset. So does that work with you?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we can always stop off at little points and share little takeaways. If you've got a takeaway that you want to share, just stop it. And I'll try not to interrupt you too much. But if I see a bit of a break there, I'll jump in and do it. And also, just if you're listening to this and you like the sound of Celeste and you want to contact with her further, I do recommend following her on Instagram. It's celestial_fit. I'll put these links in the description anyway, but jump on and follow Celeste at celestial_fit. But anyway, tell us about you, Celeste. Let us know your journey.
For sure. So I'll share this from like a business personal trainer perspective, just because I know those are your listeners. So essentially, I like back in high school, I was like always a go-getter. Okay, like let me start this off by saying I was always a go-getter, always someone who wanted to be the best at whatever I did. I would stop at nothing until I was the greatest athlete. I was the best student, whatever. At least to my standards. And then I remember like around freshman year, I started getting very depressed. I became suicidal. This was causing me a lot of anxiety because I would become fearful of what my own mind was doing. So I used fitness as a bandage to something that was obviously a much deeper wound. Time went on, I fell in love with fitness, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to give people the confidence and the self-love that fitness has given me. And I thought I was solved. Like all these problems are solved. Everything's perfect. I love fitness. I'm great. I'm going to become a personal trainer. Fast forward a few years into fitness, I was like super depressed still experiencing some suicidal tendencies, just like not in a good spot at all. I was like, what the heck? I thought fitness was the answer. Turns out it's not. That's how I discovered that fitness is about building more than just a body, which is how all these things that you introduced came about. And then from there, like as soon as I turned 18, I got certified. I was starting my certification when I was 17. I never once thought that age mattered. Like that was never a thought in my head. For as long as I was little to now, I've been an entrepreneur, like trying to start businesses, trying to sell things. Like I've done anything. Like I was just built that way. I never wanted to work a day in my life if it wasn't doing something I loved. So I then like pursued all these passions and eventually launched my business as a online personal trainer. I always didn't want to be an online coach, always, because I had online coaches in my own fitness journey. I was like, I don't want to work at a gym. No, thank you. But I did work at a gym, worked at a few gyms. And just this May, this is very fast forward, just this May, I decided I can no longer give my time and energy to someone else's like business because it's not fully representative of who I am. I believe in the message. I love the people I work with. All that's great. But at the end of the day, I need to do what's best for me and my business. I was in a good spot. I had achieved a lot of things. And this is a perfect time in my life as a young person, as a student, as someone who is really on a roll. I should capitalize on this opportunity that I have to make all the big things happen. But until like before all this big stuff in life gets in my way, supposedly, like why not just address it right now? So I quit my job. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I have plenty of money. I have plenty of time. And I have tons of energy and like dedication to do this. So I used the principles that I had been taught from other mentors, as well as principles that I had been implementing over time that allowed my identity to give me that permission to say, yeah, this is what I deserve. This is what I'm worthy of. And by implementing those practices, I was able to do this with full belief in myself. A lot of people don't take that jump because they don't believe in themselves or their ability to do that. For me, it was never about that. I always knew that I needed more and wanted more, and I was just denying myself of it out of fear. So I thought, well, what do I need to do to get over this fear? And I applied those mindset tactics that I'm sure we'll talk about. And I was able to do that. And here I am, just bought a new car. It's over there.
Let's, can you show us the?
I know. It's like, it's parked over there. It's on my Instagram, but it's a Dodge Challenger 2018. It's white. It's beautiful.
Wow.
But anyway, that's like a very fluff thing. The best thing about this is that I'm literally doing what I love every single day. I'm reminded of how powerful it is when we just step up, own our power, own what we can do, fully believe in ourselves, and trust that it's going to work out. We have to trust.
Love that. Well, hey, I'm so excited to get into these mindset principles. Just before we do, a little bit of background for the listeners there. So let's just go with the quit the full-time job to focus on what you're doing now. I know you do a lot of different things there, but if you had to summarize that, what was the job that you quit and what would you say you do now?
So I quit being a personal trainer in a gym that just focused on exercise with people. During that time, I was running my business as well. By that time, I was a #1 bestselling author. I was just about to launch my podcast, and I already had clients, business running online. Like things were good, but I just didn't believe like I should quit yet because voices around me and myself as well. So then now I am strictly an online fitness, self-love, confidence, and mindset mentor. So I do a lot of different things within that, like you said. I reach out, I do speaking, I do business coaching as well. I do what I'm doing with the competitors. And I just recently niched down to the competitor aspect, but I would say that's where I am now versus before it was like, let me sell half of my time to fund a business that doesn't need funding right now. It just needs my time. It needs my energy. It needs me.
Love it. And let's go even a bit deeper to that niche now. Run me through, that niche now, or who's your ideal client now and how do you serve them?
So, you know how I mentioned like the whole build more than just a body thing?
The what, sorry?
So the build more than just a body, how like I discovered that. Okay. So it's so funny because it turns out like bodybuilders were always in front of me the whole time and yet I just never saw it. So anyway, I had launched that podcast out of pure selfishness. I was like, I want to talk to the pros. I want to know what they're up to, but I know it'll also help people that followed me because I was competing for a year straight, back to back to back. I had a lot of bikini competitors start following me for that reason. And I was like, okay, like, I think a lot of people like this podcast. So I just went for it, launched it. And in talking to those pros and in getting feedback from the people listening, the same things kept coming up. Post-show blues, talk to them about reverse diet, talking to them about feeling depressed, talking about body image. And I'm like, these are all things that I do for other women, but I've never done for competitors because I've never thought to focus on them. But because I'm a competitor now, I feel like way more connected. Then I experienced a horrible, after my most recent show, I just like had a really rough time, health, with like the way I was functioning and my body rebounded. I was binging a little bit as well. And I was like, this is not who I am. And I know how to overcome this. I've taught women how to achieve food freedom for years. So what do I need to do? Like, why am I experiencing this? And then it all kind of started clicking. I was like, I just got myself out of this. I can help other competitors do this. So now I help competitors mend their relationship with food, their goals, and their body so that they can, of course, build more than just a body.
Love that. So if you're listening to this and that's you're a competitor, you need help with that, I definitely recommend following Celeste. But
thank you.
No dramas. Well, hey, let's go into these principles now. Let's see. We've got probably about 15 minutes. So what could you say? Let's start with the top 5 principles. If you had to say to someone, hey, here are my top 5 mindset principles, let's go through them. Let's go one by one, mention it, explain it, and then we'll move on.
Awesome idea. Okay. So I usually write everything down and that is how I like think best, but I'll just say like what is coming up. First and foremost, an awareness of where you're at, an awareness of what you want. So awareness is one of the first principles. I may not go in order, but by the end I'll be able to go in order.
I'll write them down anyway. We'll just rattle off 5 and then at the end I'll ask you to rank them.
I love it. So yeah, so awareness basically meaning you are aware of the things that you want, you're aware of where you're at, and you're in a place where you can objectively accept it for what it is. So you're aware of what's bringing you where you are and what you need to get to where you want to be. Second of all is then identity work. Okay, so identity basically means that you are becoming the person that you seek to be right now. So the person you are currently in this present moment is not who you're going to be tomorrow or the next day or the next day. It's especially not going to be the person you are working so hard to become, right? It's not the person you're putting hours in the gym for or hours with your clients for, you know? So we want to look at like, what is that identity really like? What does this person talk like, think like? Who are they hanging out with? And then what kinds of decisions do they make? And that's where the third principle comes in, aligned action. You have to take aligned action that connects to that higher version of yourself. So when I bought my new car, this is a great example, I'm going to use it. When I bought my new car, I said, I don't drive very much. I don't need a new car. My car is fine. And why I'm not someone who usually goes for material things. I rarely spend my money. That's why I have so much of it. And also I make it. And then I was like, and I would never really think to be someone who like buys cars, right? And then I was like, but I learned how to drive in a Dodge Challenger. I've always had a Dodge Challenger. I love my Dodge Challenger and I want a new one. And I'm allowed to have that. And I know that if I got myself a crappy car or said, I don't need a car, I'll just sell it for money to put in my business, that would be limiting myself. So by taking aligned action from my higher self says, you have what you want. You always have a way to make it happen. You are someone who goes after what they want and doesn't deny themselves of it. And because I knew that, I said, as soon as I walked in that dealership, I said, I'm walking away with this car. Every time I go up to my car, I think of all the amazing things that I have, abundance, gratitude, opportunity. And then that is what allows me to continue making that forward momentum. So aligned action. The next principle would be self-love, gratitude, etc. But this is for yourself, not necessarily like, yes, of course, have gratitude for the things that you have, the person that you are, the person you're becoming. Have gratitude though for the things that you are looking for. I am so happy and grateful that I am a personal trainer who runs boot camps that sell out every single weekend without a doubt. And every time people come to a boot camp, I over deliver so much that they have to tell their friends. And when their friends come, they have to tell their friends. So you see how that's like, you're not just someone who's, hey, I'm starting a boot camp, you should come. It's, we're doing this. Like this, I'm actually this person. So you have gratitude for what happens when you become that person and you love yourself now, the awareness, right? You love that version of you, but you love yourself even more moving forward. I love that I'm a person who gets people so fired up that they have to work with me, right? Like you have so much self-love for that version of you. And the last principle would be, we've talked identity, aligned action. Oh, game planning, for sure. So you always have to continue to set a game plan. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself stuck. What happens is we reach this upper limit in our mind. I'm talking so fast. I sometimes like get too into it. So
I love it.
thank you. So like we get so comfortable with our goals and we hit upper limits. So we say, I'm going to make $5,000 this month from my business. But in reality, we want 8, we want 10, we want 20. But what happens is we hit that upper limit, we're 5. So what do we have to do? We have to game plan for upper limit. Ask ourselves, why is it that I'm stopping myself here? Ask ourselves, what is it that's going to take me from being comfortable to being like kick ass, right? It's one thing to be like, yeah, like I would be happy with 5K and that makes me feel comfortable. Like I can do that. It's another thing to be like, that's an upper limit I've set in my mind due to beliefs and due to people who have told me that's all I can get, people who I've met that's the best they've ever got. That would be like a scientist saying like, oh, because someone threw an apple and it came down, like there's nothing else to explore. Like, no, there's so much more to explore. Like we actually have a whole universe and planets that are functioning based on like gravity and gravitational pull. But what if no one explored that? So that's what I'm saying. It's like there may be limits in this world and in your mind, but they don't actually exist. You have the power to break through them.
Wow. Love those. So powerful.
Thank you.
Let's do a bit of a recap and I'll put the boot camp spin on it just to make sure I've got it. All right.
Absolutely.
So the first one is awareness, which is ideally the things that you want and then where you're at now as well. So is that so if you're a boot camp instructor and you're listening to this, 2 things to figure out, right? Number 1, where am I at now? Okay, cool. I've got 20 clients and I'm working 1 hour a day, whatever it may be, right? Cool. Or probably not. It's probably 20 clients and I'm working all day, every day. So the next step is then, all right, what do I want? All right. Okay. My goal is to have 50 clients and I only want to work 1 hour a day. So at least you've got, okay, this is what I want. And this is where I am now. And this is what I want. One question there, Celeste, how deep do you get with that there, with the what you want? Is it deep enough to be like, yep, cool, I want 20 clients or I want 50 clients. I want to work 1 hour a day so that I've got enough money to live and that I've got more time. Is that enough or do you recommend deeper?
That's actually a really great question. I think it's important to explore deeper, but I don't think it's necessary to make that your end sight, because then what happens is we think, well, I don't even have 5 people. So how am everybody wants 500 clients? Shoot, obviously sign me up. I'll take that. Work an hour a day, 500 clients. Okay. But like, if you're at 5, you also have to be humble and realistic. Humble and realistic enough to go, okay, I know that if I got these 5 clients for 10 people, I'm even closer, if not surpassing. So it's very possible. So when you say, I want to have 50 people, say, when do I want to have it by? Okay. And now when I have it, why am I so happy and grateful for that? And what's next? That's where the upper limit comes in. Now that I'm so happy and grateful for these 50 clients that I have, they've been coming for 3 months straight. It's rolling in, awesome business for me. I only work an hour a day. I feel so good. And now it's allowing me to expand, even reach out to businesses or whatever the next step is. And so you function from that space of knowing that next thing is next, break through the upper limit, but still be realistic, be humble about it.
Love it. Makes sense. Number 2 was identity. And I think this is my favorite one here, Celeste. Actually it's a combination. I'm going to go 2 and 3 together because I think I'll explain these better together as a bootcamp instructor. So this is identity and also aligned action. So identity of the person that you're going to become. So let's say, for example, your goal is to be the best bootcamp instructor in the world. Okay, get that identity in your head first, right? What does the best bootcamp instructor look like? What does the best bootcamp instructor do for their clients? How do they support their clients? How do they come up with workouts? How do they motivate their clients? Where do they train their clients? All that sort of stuff there. And I find it's linked very tightly to aligned action, because let's say that is the person you want to be is the best boot camp instructor in the world. When maybe a course comes up, which is, hey, here's how you become a better boot camp instructor. If you are serious about being that best boot camp instructor in the world, you'll take that course, right? If you're not that serious about it, then you won't take it. So if you get yourself in that mindset, okay, who's the person I want to be? What do they look like? What courses do they do? What do they read? How much effort do they put in? Your actions will resonate with those things there. And I guess the best examples I can give is that they're doing a boot camp course, or maybe if it's to grow your boot camp, if it's like, hey, I want to have 100 members in my boot camp, I'm the sort of trainer that has 100 members in my boot camp, then if some inquiries come through or there's some calls that maybe you can make these sales calls or maybe you don't, you're probably going to take that action because you've got that identity that you want to be. Does that make sense boot camp instructor wise?
Great example. That's absolutely on point. I love that. By the way, you're a great example of someone who does that. I remember when you started, way back when we first got connected, and I was like, so now you're helping people do this, and it's like you're a great example of someone who took the leap of faith because you trusted yourself, you believe in yourself, and now look where you are. It's awesome.
Well, I'll go deep. I'll give an example of what happened to me this year actually, when I can't remember who told me that principle, but basically I'm into obviously personal development and mindset as well. And, I read somewhere you write down the person you want to be, right? And one thing I wrote down is I wanted to be one of the biggest, I can't remember the exact words now because I've changed a little bit, but it was I wanted to be one of the top social media gurus for fitness professionals in Australia, right? That was one thing I wrote down. And then an ad appeared on my newsfeed, social media marketing world, which was in San Diego in February, right? It was about this time last year. And I was like, man, do I really want to go to San Diego from Sydney for 3 days? The plane ride's going to take me longer than the convention, But then I was like, you know what? Well, if that's one of my goals and I want to be the best social media guru in Australia for fitness professionals, hey, I'm pretty sure the best social media person would go to social media marketing world. All right. Went to social media marketing world, learned so much at that convention there. My social media has blown up since then. And actually just a couple of weeks ago, I presented at the New Zealand Fitness Convention on social media. Right.
Yes.
And I put that all down just to saying, well, hey, who's the person I want to be? What would the things that person want to do? And then do those things there. So I'm a huge fan of that principle there. Now, self-love. Now, I actually got a bit confused on this one, so I might need might need to go over this again. Is this self-love of the person you are now? So let's say you're a boot camp instructor and you've got 20 clients coming, but you want to have 100 clients there. Is this self-love for you now that you're so happy and grateful that you've got 20 clients? Or is it I'm so happy and grateful that I'm going to be that trainer that has 100 clients? Can you just elaborate on that one a little bit?
Of course, it's both. So you have to be willing to love yourself for who you are right now. Because if you don't love yourself for who you are now, you're not going to be able to expand into this new version of you. I really believe that we are always evolving, but there's still parts of us that just don't change. So we have to love those parts of ourselves. These are the parts that make us us. These are the parts that are actually going to take us to that next level. So focus on the things that you love about yourself. Those are the things that other people probably love about yourself. And it's what's going to allow you to then expand on. I know I am such a great communicator and I love this about myself, but people love opening up to me. Great. Identify that you love that about yourself now, because I guarantee you in 10 years, you're still going to love that about yourself. But if you don't see it now, it's not going to be something that can serve you moving forward. I hope that's clear.
Yes, I think I've got it. So let's say you're listening to this as a personal trainer and maybe you've got 20 clients, you don't have 100, but what you love about yourself and what your clients love about is your support. You're the most supportive trainer there. That's something you could focus on. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm the most supportive trainer in the world, because that's you as you are now and you love it now, and that'll serve you moving forward.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. And the last one is the game plan, which obviously you need to have that game plan there. But if you get to that upper limit, which we spoke about a bit before, realize why is that upper limit and then how do you break it? Is that what that one is?
Yes, exactly. And creating a game plan that's going to allow you to step up into that. So going back through those principles again. So as soon as you go through all those points, right? You've just reached a new level. Okay, what's next. You have to know what's next. So that kind of goes back to like looking at, I'm so happy and grateful for these 20 clients I have, because now I know I'm gonna have $100,000 in the bank next year because I'll have expanded to this much, whatever. So you see, like, it's really just about like having a game plan. Once you hit one limit, well, okay. Or if you find a limit in your mind, asking yourself, why am I setting this goal? What's really the goal? What do I really want?
Love it. Can we go deeper there? Have you got any strategies for any listeners here? Where let's say all right, let's say you had a trainer that had 20 clients. Now they've got 50 clients. They're like, you know what, Celeste, I'm sort of happy. You know, I've got 50 clients. They're paying me $50 a week. I'm making, $10,000 a month. I'm working 1 hour a day. I'm happy. I don't need any more. What would be your strategy there? Or what would be your philosophy?
Ooh, this thing, I like coaching hat on. Okay, so I would ask them like why this makes them happy, first and foremost. And if they were to know what would make them even happier in life, what would that be? And that might help them discover that they actually don't even want to work every single week. They love what they do, but maybe it's not about working every week. Maybe it's about working every other week, and they actually would love to hire a team. So I would potentially help. I never like to tell people what they should want to do, because we got to guide people to their own answers, of course. So I would ask them the question of like, why does this make you happy? What would make you happier? And why do you believe that this is enough for you? Because when we ask questions like that, people realize, maybe I just like think this is enough, but it's just because it's like the goal that I had set. So it's like, what new goals? It's always important to reevaluate. Well, what new goals do you have in your life? So they might say, oh, I'd love to have a child now with my wife. We're so happy. We've just traveled the world. Like, I was able to hire this team, whatever. Okay, now what do you want? I want a kid. Okay, what do you need to make that happen? Shoot, I'm going to need a lot more time. I'm going to need a lot more people on my team to expand into all these countries that I said I was going to expand to. Okay, so we do have new goals. So you're not happy. So $10,000 a month, but you need $20,000 to know that you're going to be able to support your kid going to college because you want to pay for it. That's something you never got. So always asking more questions. What are those goals?
Love it. And I'm a huge fan of the philosophy, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes.
Right? And it's and that's what I've found myself, right? As soon as I get to a stage where I'm comfortable, within a couple months, I start dropping back down with everything. So that's why me personally, I think it's always important to look for an opportunity to grow there, because and you've probably heard this quote as well, like the comfort zone is the worst place to be, right? If you get yourself in the comfort zone, I can't wait to get out of that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You cannot stay there.
Agree, 100%. Now, hey, Celeste, I've got some questions for you. Not so much mindset now, but let's say someone's starting off. Let's say someone's listening to this. They're like, you know what? Mindset is my weakness. I do need to work on my mindset. I like what Celeste has said here. First thing I'm going to do is follow Celeste on Instagram at celestial_fit. Second thing I'm going to do is buy her book there, which is, let me make sure I get the title right. Buy her book, which is Believe Your Way to Badass. They're obviously the two things you should do. But let's say you're taking someone through a journey. Someone's like, all right, cool. I've got to work on my mindset. What's the first thing you'd recommend they do in terms of further education? So is it listening to a particular podcast? Is there any books that you recommend? Any other people to recommend?
This is a really great question. I think identifying the people who you aspire to be like, or who already inspire you, and finding out what types of things they're doing, because they're putting it out there. So look at what they're doing. What are they saying? What are their beliefs? And be very objective, be very objective. See what actions they're taking every day and start trying them out for yourself, or putting your own twist on it based on the goals you have.
That's such a good answer. That's the best answer I've ever heard. The reason I like it is because that's what I do. I look at the people that inspire me, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow this person on Instagram. I'm going to read every quote they post. I'm going to read every book they recommend. I'm going to follow what they do and put my own spin on it. And I find it's very effective. So that's such a good answer. Now, I'm going to bring it specifically to you, Celeste, right? Okay. In your case now, you're obviously a mentor to heaps of people out there, trainers, people that want to get in shape, bikini competitors. Who are your mentors? Who are your specific mentors there?
So I actually have had many mentors. I'm very grateful for this. I've never, ever hesitated to jump on a mentor who inspires me. So my very first mentor was AJ Mirzad. My second mentor, AJ Mirzad, business mentor. Second mentor was a woman named Regan Hillier, mindset mentor.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes, that was my biggest investment in the world. Spent every dollar, every penny to my name and more. I had $15,000 in my bank account at the time. Program cost $18,000 back then. And I was like, yeah, I'm 18K, whatever. So I did it. Didn't have that much. No biggie. I have never been in debt in my life. I'm fine. And I was fine and I am fine. I'm very much fine. So then next mentor was a spiritual mentor. Her name was Lainey Gray. I hired her because I was beginning to be very interested in this world. I knew there's got to be something deeper. If the mindset isn't always doing it, what else is happening? There's other blocks that we can't even see, things we can't feel energetically. From there, I just recently hired a publicity and a profit expert. So these are two people, like they work as a team. Really excited about them. It's Pollyanna Brown, Susan Kate, and then mentors, my parents. I love them to death. They've been so self-employed. They instilled the belief in me that you got to work for what you love. And then my own personal trainers and coaches. I have personal trainer in person. I have an online personal trainer. Like, I invest in people who know or who are getting things and doing things that are next level from me. And I'm sure I'm missing some, and I feel bad if I am. But we'll leave it at that.
Love it. And that's such an important mindset thing even there as well, where I think a lot of people look at the investment of a mentor and he's like, man, I'm never going to, why would I pay someone that? Or I've saved all that money. Why would I pay that? But the whole idea is that you make it back plus more, right? Like you would not be in the position you are now if you haven't invested that. So I think that's a good message for the listeners. If you're listening to this and you're like, wow, how has Celeste done all that at 22? Well, hey, she's invested a lot in mentors and in herself. So I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
And then what about books and podcasts, Celeste? Have you got any for yourself? Give us your top 2 or 3 books or podcasts.
So I don't read very much and I don't listen to podcasts very much. I recently put it in my daily ritual to start reading like at least 5 minutes a day, because I used to read for speed and not for fun or knowledge. So now I've been doing that, and I just finished this one book, You Are a Badass, funnily enough. Great book. Another book that I read that I love was The Goddess Revolution. I wish I had written that book. I felt like I could have written that book. And then a podcast. I love Happier from Gretchen Rubin, and I love this other one. I'm just now forgetting the name, but it's all about psychology by this guy. Shoot, I'm going to say something. I hope it doesn't come across the wrong way. He's got an Indian accent. He shares a lot of like case studies and research. It's just amazing, like the value. So
it's not Jay Shetty, is it? Is that him? No, okay.
No, not him.
Okay.
Fits the bill, but not him.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, Celeste, that's all we've got time for here on this podcast. Just before I leave you to it there, is there anything I forgot? Anything I should have asked you but didn't? Or anything you want to finish up with?
No, I think you're an amazing host. And the only thing I'd add is, like, if people do get my book, the book is a complete guide. You're going to be guided through. It actually has journaling space and journaling prompts for you to write it down. So I'm going to teach you how to start taking aligned action, how to start loving yourself, how to manifest what it is you want. So I know a lot of people sometimes get turned off. Another book to read. No, this is an implementation. Like, you're going to implement it. We got enough info. Let's implement. And that's all. I really enjoy your energy, and I'm so happy we connected. Like, follow each other online, but this is so much more powerful.
Thank you. I agree. But hey, just before I leave you to it, Celeste, I do want to put a bit of a plug for anyone that's listening to this and is a competitor. I believe can you just tell us just a little bit about your 8-week program for the competitors?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So it's an 8-week post-show personal development program. We don't do diet. We don't do exercise, because you guys already have that covered. These are people who know what to do for their diet and exercise, or maybe they're struggling. So what we do is we mend the relationship with food, because after a show, if you're struggling with the post-show blues, you're likely having a poor relationship with food. Sometimes you can't stand the way you look because you went from being a lean bean to all of a sudden you look a little bloated every day. What's going on? It's hard to accept that. So mending your relationship with your body, and then goals, shifting the identity from a person on prep to a person in their improvement season. The reason you feel guilty is because your identity is completely different than the actions you're taking. Like a thief doesn't feel guilty about stealing because they think they're a thief. A person who doesn't identify as a thief, who steals, feels guilty. Same thing with food. So mending all of those things along with the goals, making sure all these things align so that your post-show, you never have to experience post-show blues again, because these are principles you have access to for life. So that's the 8-week post-show program. I mean, obviously there's logistics, but I think if that speaks to you, you got to reach out and I can explain that to you.
Love it. And best place to reach out to you, is it Instagram? They just get you at celestial_fit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll read my DMs. I'll be there.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, Celeste, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. That was fun.